All right, folks, welcome to Ninos Corner.tv. I'm joined with Ross Givens once again. Follow the whales. We got to follow the whales, the crooked politicians, folks. That's what you do. Ross is a 20-year veteran of the stock market. He has worked as a broker, fund manager, and vice president of investment management for JP Chase. Givens is the leading authority on insider trading. So, Givens, thank you so much for joining me once again.
Hey, man, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, my audience loves you, man, and I'm glad you're coming back. So now the Dems are accusing the Republicans of insider trading.
Yeah.
And I guess they're just pointing fingers when really you point one finger and you got three pointing back at you, right? I mean, it's just kind of, to me, they're accusing them of what they're doing.
Yeah, and that's something we see a lot, right? It's trying to get the attention off themselves. For example, they accused Trump was a threat to democracy. It's like you guys are the ones doing, you guys are the ones trying to jail your political opponents. You're the ones creating these lawsuits and extending, opening up legal loopholes to go after the president and all. But yeah, it's the same thing here. A lot of people, I'm not sure how close they follow the stock market, but it's been going down for 6 or 7 weeks on this tariff situation. It's a global trade war. Nobody knows what's happening. That causes fear. And then a couple of weeks ago, Trump said, "I'm pausing all the tariffs. Everyone except China." Stock market shoots up. 12% in a day.
Just like playing with it like a yo-yo, it seems like.
Yeah, it's been wild. It's just been really news driven, but that day when you go for the market to go 12% in a day, to put that in perspective, that's the second best day ever for the stock market. And
wow.
It took place on April 9th. So that's how strong this news was.
But China's still at 145%, right? Isn't it still there?
I think he cut them in half. It's 60 years. 60, 100, and it's all, it's all prohibitive. Right. I think Trump is realizing that China's not as weak as he thought. He's back, and he may lose that battle with them and come to an agreement. But nonetheless, his idea was to put these tariffs on these other countries, get them to the table, not to actually implement them long term. And I think that's happened. But listen, that's going to scare the stock market. It's come down anyway. It shoots up real big. Well, Democrats can't celebrate anything Trump does. He could cure cancer, and they'd find a way to say that there's something wrong with his cure.
Or they'd give them all cancer. They'd give themselves cancer just to be inside of them. That's how crazy they are. This is reality.
Well, so listen, when he's pushing the market down, oh, Trump, how could you? You're killing retirements. He comes out and does something good. It's the second best day in history. Well, you must have been insider trading it then, right? And so the one person they found is Marjorie Taylor Greene, and it's true. She bought 10 or 12 stocks kind of the day before and the morning of that announcement. They're trying to say, oh, she insider traded all this, but I've got I don't know. Can I share the screen and show this?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
is that possible?
Even if she did, they're doing the same thing.
They are, but they're just.
Are they going to put charges on her? Like, what's going to happen here? How's this?
Well, they're demanding an investigation. Of course, it's a sitting member of the House. Nothing's going to happen from that. But let me show you why, in my opinion, they have really no leg to stand on. So, and this is something a lot of your viewers may not know. When these politicians, and this is the same for corporate people, so CEOs, CFOs, whatever, you can see what stocks they're buying. So as I'm going through this, if it makes you angry, go, that's not fair. Listen, I agree. I realize it. But you can follow their trades. You can see what stocks they're buying and piggyback along. That's why people have done so well with Pelosi. This is a strategy they built that follows Nancy Pelosi's trades. And you go back a decade,
and you have the software that does this, right? Like you could follow all of their trades, right?
Yeah, you can follow all of them, but the big money's made in the ones that they're clearly insider trades. So let me explain. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Yes, she did buy on the 9th and the 8th as the 2 days around that. But look at the size of these trades. So they have to check these little boxes. It's like 50 to 100,000, 100 to 250, 250 to a million to... The smallest you can go is 1,000 to 15,000. So these are all a couple thousand. They're anywhere from 1,000, maybe 10 or 12,000 bucks, but like a couple $1,000s a piece. Okay, these are not big trades. This is not something like, if you knew this was coming, you're going to put more than a couple $1,000 on it, right?
Of course.
And the second thing is, what they're accusing her of is insider trading based on knowledge that he was going to pause these tariffs. So again, if that's what you're going to do, you are going to buy the stocks that are going to go up the biggest after this tariff pause. And the biggest winners of that day was international stocks with international exposure, airlines, cruise companies, travel stocks like Expedia. She didn't buy any of those. She bought Amazon, which is barely up since they have a lot of exposure since a lot of their products come from China. There's the Amazon, and China's not off the hook on the tariffs. She bought Lululemon, which is barely up, like 3% after the announcement. Most of these are just run-of-the-mill stocks: Cummins, FedEx, JP Morgan, Nike, Merck, NVIDIA. Just your run-of-the-mill typical stock. So this is not what insider trading looks like. Now, I can show you what it does look like, though. And again,
yeah, I mean, obviously, last time I had you on, we were talking about Pelosi. You kind of follow all of their movements, correct? You have I guess, a software that you're able to map out how each one does their little inside trading, correct? You just follow the whales.
That's right. Yeah. And what you want to do is you want to look for things that kind of say, oh, they definitely know something, right? You want to look for instances where they're suddenly buying in a big size. So, for example, there is a woman. See if I can pull this up real quick. I should have had it ready to go for you. I apologize.
You have your main targets, though, right? Like, so Marjorie Taylor Greene's one of them, but I bet you follow Lindsey Graham, Pelosi, all of them, right? I mean, is there like 5 big ones you follow, or is there are you just following 20 big ones? How many do you follow?
Well, so, obviously there's folks like Pelosi that have a long history of doing this. If she's buying a stock, you want to pay attention. I mean, this is the last stock she bought. She bought this one in January. It's Tempus AI. Look at where she bought this thing.
Wow.
I mean, not only she timed the low, the stock surges in like a month and a half. So, and listen, Pelosi's the worst because she didn't just go buy the stock. She went and bought call options. She bought a leveraged bet. She was so sure this thing's going to go up. She bet money on these options. And look at the prices of these options. This is when she bought, the day she bought them in January. You see here, they're trading at like 15 or so bucks a piece.
Jeez.
Okay. This is them in February. Oh, wait, where'd it go? This is that same option the next month.
I mean, this is a no-brainer, Ross. I mean, just
it goes from 15 to 70 in a month, David. Like,
wow.
That is what insider trading looks like. We saw another one. And again, listen, I know this.
Let me ask you this. How long do you know after they buy? How fast does it report?
It depends. So they have up to like 30 days to report. If they really want to drag it out, they can. But other insiders, we see it almost immediately. So like if you're watching CEOs, CFOs, board members, like all those people, we show people how to do this, by the way. You can see it usually the very next day. They have 48 hours to report it. And usually they do it the same day. So we hold these training events once a month. In fact, we have one coming up this Thursday. It's May 8th, 3 Eastern, online,
and is this
totally
over
free.
Zoom, or how do you do these training events?
Yeah, it's just like Zoom. It's a software called GoToWebinar. But yeah, we show people how to do this. So we show them how to find what stocks these politicians, these corporate insiders are buying, what to look for, and examples like that Pelosi one I showed you, where they're going in big, they're going in on leverage, they're going into off the radar stock, the ones that have led to the biggest moves. And, we've been doing this for our members since 2017. We've never had a losing year. We beat the market every single year.
Like 95% and above? I mean, what is it like?
Well, no, it's not necessarily that every one of the stocks wins, but it's like, the thing to think about is, let's say we see a stock being bought by the chief executive officer, the chief financial officer, half the board, a VP. Like, they're not going to be putting hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in their own money into this stock before something bad comes out, right? I mean, that's just logical. They run the company. They know. So it tends to be like the ones that don't work out, hey, maybe it goes down 4, 5, 8%, or it just goes up 2 or 3. It doesn't really do much.
Right.
The ones that win are, hey, they were buying right before their drug got FDA approval. They were buying right before some $8 billion merger or some record sales number or some AI breakthrough, and the stock goes up 100, 200, 300%, right? So it tends to be like heads you win a lot, tails you lose a little, which is
Got you.
really the secret, I think, with
A lot
investing.
more reward than risk because you're following the people that are getting the whispers.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, what we're doing is just looking for those instances where it
So
seems very, very obvious.
who's accusing Marjorie Taylor Greene? Pelosi? I mean, who
No,
are the ones that
Pelosi
are
is
accusing her?
Pelosi has wisely kept her mouth shut. It's a couple of junior Democrat senators and House members. Then of course they reach out to all their best friends, the New York Times and all these super left-leaning publications, to print this stuff and make these accusations from a source that they don't want to name, right? But yeah, like you said, when they're doing this, they're typically just projecting, right?
Yeah,
They're
and
just
trying to create
hiding.
some kind of scandal or put mud on her
Yeah.
face.
I mean, they went for a year saying Trump is going to weaponize the justice system. They're doing this while he is on trial for these made up accounting error crimes that they've come up with. I mean, it's the most hypocritical thing ever, and this is no different. So another one, that Representative 𝗬𝗎 𝗠𝗃 I told you about. So, I showed you Marjorie Taylor Greene because you can see, like, she's not just loading up on one stock out of nowhere. She bought 10, 15 stocks. She's buying them all up. She does it routinely. It's not large amounts of money. And I want to compare that to another stock. Now, this is one. Let me see if I can share this again with you. The representative's name is 𝗬𝗎 𝗠𝗃. She's represents an area out of Vegas. And this is a stock she bought
She's
called
184%
𝗬𝗏.
gain.
So here's what's funny about this one. And we show people this in the training events. You'll see, like, they're just so obvious when you see them. But this woman rarely buys stock. She's not bought a single stock since 2022. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, she buys one stock, and it is 𝗬𝗏, a specialty German arms manufacturer.
Lee.
So look, if she went all in on Bitcoin, okay. You went all in on Nvidia, like, okay. A German arms manufacturer, like, the odds of that being the one stock you pick in 3 years are just so incredibly low. And then pretty soon after, we found out why that was. Germany announced record defense spending. Something like a $2.5 billion weapons order, one of the biggest in history. And a lot of that money went to buy weapons from, you guessed it, 𝗬𝗏.
Wow.
Right? So,
and you can really predict, like, world events too that are coming.
Well, yeah, a lot of the times. Yeah, we've seen we saw some of these members of Congress buying defense stocks the day Russia invaded Ukraine.
Wow.
We saw tons of them sell all their stocks before COVID and before this tariff stuff happened. And so it's not surprising, sort of piling back in when things were good. But these are blatant, egregious examples of insider trading. And again, I don't say it to anger people, although it probably should. These are the folks writing the laws.
Yeah.
If you can make 200% in a year on your money in the shadows and nobody can do anything about it, you're not going to write a law to make you stop doing it.
Are you seeing anything right now that you can disclose in my audience that are setting some kind of alarm bells off? Like, okay, this could be coming.
Well, we are seeing a lot, just volume of buying in a big way. So both corporate insiders who, we show this in the training events, like if you look at 20 years where they bought the heaviest and where they bought the lowest, they buy really, really big right at the low, and they don't buy very much at the highs. So we're seeing a big influx of buying. Let us know this is probably a really good time to be getting into stocks. Probably going to see a pretty good run the next 3, 6, 9 months going forward. There are some individual names, and I'll cover those in Thursday's event. That's the one on May 8th. But yeah, we've seen this for decades. And the only reason this is a topic in the news now, well, one is because people like you are not afraid to say the truth.
Right.
Thank God. But it's because we finally have access to this information. Back when they
Right.
passed the Stock Act in 2012, they were supposed to build this giant centralized database where every American could see every trade these politicians take. They never built it, David. Like you've got to go to one site for the Senate, one site for the House, search by name. I
And you
mean,
got all that on this software you got.
yeah, so we had to build stuff, and there's a couple others that have. I mean, there's a site called Capital Trade and some other that'll show you this stuff. But one when you get it in the right format, you can say, okay, this guy's buying big, cool. Do they buy a lot? Like, do they buy a stock every 2 or 3 weeks? If so, it's less relevant.
Right,
Susie
right,
Lee
right.
was significant. She's not bought anything
And
in
then
two and a
boom,
half years,
dumps.
and now you're piling into this one random German. It's funny they interviewed her about it or asked, and a representative sent a statement saying she's unaware of the trade. It was a stock bought by her ex-husband for her son's account. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Most husbands are out there researching German arms manufacturers
Yeah.
to put in their kids' accounts, right?
So, like right now with tariffs, everyone's kind of like nobody knows what direction like they're going, right? Everyone's kind of scared. They're in a frozen state right now. Especially my audience, a lot of them are just buying gold and silver and they're hunkering down.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what do we do? What are we gonna do? You're saying, no need to do that. We can follow the whales. You have the software to do that,
Right.
and they can learn themselves how to do it, or you can help them along the process, right?
We do have an alert service. We have a lot of members. We have hundreds of members that follow this stuff. Some of them are like me, like, I want to learn how to do it. I want to scan. I got time. Like, cool, let me show you how to do it. Others are like, Ross, that's awesome. I got stuff to do. Just let me know the top 3, 4. When you see one of these, put it together, send me the research. I'll buy it myself. So we have both options, but that's why we do these Thursday events. Or these events like the one coming this Thursday. It's May 8th, 3. There should be a link below the video. Listen, it's a free thing to attend. It's online. It's an hour long. Anybody can come. But
Well, do they have access to your software? Is that how that works, or you just teach them what to do, where to go, what site?
Yeah, we show them how to do it all and what to look for, and then we can show them how to get access to that, how to get access to the trades. I think the biggest thing is people don't realize this is something you can do. We always hear about these after the fact. I'm probably contributing to that
Anybody
right
can
now,
do
but
this.
anybody can do this. Yeah. And you can see them. And once you realize what's available to you, and that's, I show a lot of examples in those events because like, it is just so obvious. The big ones are so obvious. When you've got Pelosi with a 20-year track record of slaughtering the market, coming in, putting $1 million into a leveraged, juiced up stock option on a little stock right before there's some pending piece of legislation that's going to help or destroy that company. It's like, you don't need
And
murder
they're all
she wrote to
doing
put the
this.
pieces together.
Everyone's guilty of this. I mean, they may be pointing fingers at Marjorie Taylor Greene, but they're all doing it.
They're all doing it. Yeah, at least the majority of them are doing it. And the ones that don't, just don't have a lot of money or aren't as smart as some of the others. I mean, let's not kid
Are they
ourselves.
scared? Are they scared? Like, I don't want to go to jail. I mean, you can go to jail for this or what?
They're not. That's the thing. You can't. I mean, they passed what's known as the Stock Act in 2012, and the goal was transparency. We're going to stop insider trading in Congress. Yeah, let's go get them. All it is, and it helped us, is it made them disclose their trades. It doesn't ban them from buying them. It doesn't make them hold them a certain amount of time. It doesn't say you can't buy stocks who your committee decisions are going to affect. It doesn't do any of that. They can still buy and sell as freely as they want. They just have to report these trades. So it does nothing to stop them, but it does help us because now we can see what they're buying. And you can see how much they're buying, when they're buying it, whether they're doing it direct or on a leverage, like an option play, which is a really, really high conviction trade. And again, we can do the same thing with the corporate insiders. So, we can look at a little pharmaceutical stock where 8 executives are for the first time in 3 years putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into their stock right before a big, drug trial or FDA approval or denial is supposed to come out. And, you just kind of put the pieces together. And our biggest winners have been just such obvious examples.
So,
it's like, it's not fair, but like, let's level the playing field.
So how long are these events that you hold on Zoom or whatever you're doing? How long is this? 45 minutes, an hour? I mean, do
45
people
minutes
really
to
get
an
a lot
hour.
of information out of this, or do they just have to call you? And I mean, how does this work? Like, if I wanted to do it,
Yeah.
I could learn everything in an hour and go on my merry way and be able to
You
do
can
anything.
learn a lot of it. I've done these for about a year now, once every month or 2 months or so, and I've gotten pretty good. I've got it down to I've got a presentation built that I try my best to take 10 years of my experience and put it into an hour. But what I try to show people is top line the big idea. Like, all right, what is this giant loophole? How can I see these trades? Show you here's a 20-year history of them timing the market well. Here's 8, 10, 12 examples of the kind of things they know they take advantage of. Here's where you can find these trades. Here's what to look for. Like, this is something, if you see that, it's okay. If you see this, that's one you want to focus on. And we show them, the kind of what our best picks have had in common, things to look out for. And yes, it is a lot of information. Don't get me wrong, but listen, if you pass third grade math, you'll understand everything I cover. It's nothing complex. You don't need a background in finance. It's, stocks go up when the company sells more stuff and makes more profit. They go down, they sell less stuff. I mean, at the end of the day, it's really that simple. Anybody can open a brokerage account at Fidelity or Schwab or Robinhood in 10 minutes. It doesn't cost anything. You can fund it with a few hundred to a few $100,000, up to you. You can buy stocks on an app on your cell phone for free in 10 seconds. I mean, it really is available to everybody.
I would imagine that AI is the big thing to buy into right now, right?
It has been. That has been the leading theme of the market for the last couple of years. That's why NVIDIA, 1,000 or so percent.
But it's what company, chips. Right? You never know which company is just going to pop with like a new technology, new invention, right? Is that how it works? Like
yeah, and it's, look, everyone, when you get like a big theme, like, we had the internet in the late 90s. That was the big run, right? In 2010, 2020, after COVID, it was the whole work from home idea. We're all stuck in our house. That's why Peloton went up, because you couldn't go to the gym. Zoom went up 700% because you can't go to the office, right? That was the theme. Now it is AI, you're right. But yes, everyone knows about NVIDIA. Everybody knows Microsoft is fueling it. But who knew about Tempus AI, this little off-the-radar stock? Well, I'll tell you who knew. 𝗬𝗎cy freaking Pelosi, who is is friends with a board member who's deeply connected to the Democratic Party, who's one of the 35 leading, what do they call them? I found an article calling them the 34 DC healthcare power players who shaped the rule of a $3.5 trillion industry. And Pelosi is good friends with one of those people who happens to be on the board of this company, who happened to probably have a little talk with her before they unveiled their new AI model that caused the stock to triple. So these smaller companies are often where the big gains are made. Every once in a while, there's an NVIDIA, but these little $2 and $3 and $10 and $15 stocks, no one's watching. Not the Google, Amazon, Netflix, NVIDIA, but all these thousands of others that have something coming. No, most of us aren't watching, but the insiders know.
Right. What do they say? Never let a good catastrophe go to waste, or what is it? Never let a good. I'm in the ballpark, right? So
that's what the Dems do. Yeah.
Yeah. So they know.
Yeah, there's a terrible, tragic school shooting. Let's take that and press on the NRA and gun control. The market had its second best day in the history of the free market. Let's, crap on Republicans and accuse them of insider trading it. Like, there's always something. But I think this is the biggest loophole available to the everyday investor. I think if you're not using this information, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. I encourage people to come to this event. It's free. Put in your name, email. We'll send you the link to join. It's this Thursday, May the 8th, 3 o'clock Eastern. If you put your phone number in, I think we even text you a reminder like 15 minutes before we get started. And what we're doing this time, we're sending out our newest trade recommendation for free to everyone who registers. So you'll see the amount of research available to you, what the stock is, who's buying it. It's a big one. One we think could be a big opportunity. Even if you can't attend, you'll get that for free. See what's available to you. And
people is this interactive, this class? I mean, can they ask you questions? Okay, cool. Wow. All right. So this is interesting. I'm definitely going to take a look at this. Ross, I appreciate you coming on. This is very valuable information. I'm into bringing more solutions to my audience. A lot of fear stuff. I can't be. I gotta bring solutions. I gotta bring.
No, I agree.
I know we all know what the problem is, but let's learn what the big dogs are doing. Let's learn what the whales are doing and do what they do. That's smart.
It is right. I mean, look, any investment strategy. I don't care if you're buying apartment buildings or you're buying stocks or whatever. You need some kind of advantage, something that gives you a leg up on everyone else. So, if you're really into real estate, maybe you know that market better than everyone else. Maybe you're really good at creating financing deals. In the stock market, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm not going to be smarter than teams of MBAs on Wall Street with $100 million research budgets. So I need some kind of advantage. And the only edge I can think of is information. That's the most valuable. So who has the information? Well, the politicians and those making the rules that affect the companies and the people that are running those companies. So if you can see what they're doing with their money in their own account, with their own stock, that is a huge edge. And so I know you got a lot of gold bugs on here. I'm a big gold bug as well. I think it's a great investment. I think you'll see 5,000 to 8,000 an ounce the next couple of years in gold. So I would not bail on that. Hopefully they've been holding since the breakout above 2,000. But listen, it's been a rough time in the stock market. Things that came down, quick bear market. It wasn't fun. That's what happens when you get this unexpected news. But I'm very, very confident the low is in. I think this is creating a big buying opportunity. And if you're following the right people, which is politicians, insiders, et cetera, you will get into some of these stocks that make big, big outsized moves. And listen, let's just say you get 2 or 3 of them this year.
Yeah.
You get a couple of doubles and triples. That can really move the needle for you. So I encourage people to come Thursday, check it out. Links below. You won't look at investing the same way after this.
All right, folks, hit the link below. Get started. I appreciate you, Ross. Thank you so much. And I guess I'll see you in the next couple of months.
Sounds good.
I'll see you this Thursday. That's right.
All right,
my man. Thank you, Ross. I appreciate you.
My pleasure.